Real estate is one of the best ways to build wealth. When I was 21 years old, I was at home for break one time. My next door neighbor who was a very wealthy man. We ran into him at a restaurant. He said to me, "Hey, what are you studying?" I said, "Investing." He said, "Paul, can I give you some advice?" I said, "Sure." He said, "Every rich person you meet owns real estate." Now, he's wrong, but the point is, it caught my attention. Not every rich person I know even has real estate. But what they have is, when the ones that do have real estate tend to do the best. Here's why. Real estate's a great way to build wealth because, one, you're not worried about day-to-day prices in your real estate, so you hold it for the long haul. Two, there's a lot of tax deductions that are great for it. And three, you can use debt safely to magnify your returns. So let me show you what I mean by that. Let's say you have $100,000 and you want to invest in the stock market. And over long periods of time, you're going to make 9% return. Okay, 30 years from now, what do you have? Well, let's pull our trusty calculator up. 1.09 to the power of 30 times 100,000. You're going to have 1.3 million bucks. Not bad. Okay? Great stuff. 1.3 million. Now, let's say you take that same 100,000. I have read so many times from stock market investors, why should you invest in real estate? Real estate only goes up in value 3 or 4%. Okay, fair enough. So let's say it goes up 3% a year for 30 years. 1.03 to the power of 30 times 100,000, $242,000. Well, that sucks. Okay, true. That does suck. The other thing they forget to tell you is it also makes 7% a year in cash flow. Okay, so now we're at 10% with appreciation and cash flow. Okay, so we go from, you have to pay taxes, but 1.1 to the 30th power times 100,000, you're at 1.75 million. So they always forget that part, the extra cash flow you get. But it doesn't stop there. It gets even better than that. It gets way better than that. You're already beating it from the stock market perspective, 1.75 versus 1.3. But here's how you use debt to do great with real estate. Let's say you want to invest $100,000 into a property. Well, first off, if you put 25% down payment, $100,000 will get you a $400,000 property. So now your 3% appreciation isn't on 100,000, it's on 400,000. Okay? Now, let's go to the cash flow perspective. That property I said before was making 7% potentially in cash flow. 7% of 400,000 is $28,000. Now, you're going to pay a mortgage. That's after expenses, everything, but before your mortgage. What's your mortgage on $300,000? You bought it for $400,000, you put $100,000 down. Your mortgage on $300,000, let's say just interest alone, at 6% interest is $18,000. You're getting $10,000. Okay? So you have $10,000 in profit right here. $10,000. And the property went up in value 3%. What's 3% of 400,000? 12,000. So you made 22,000. But what was your equity? You only invested 100,000 bucks. Now, what's your return? It's your 22,000 in profit divided by $100,000 you invested equals 22% return. This is why I hate listening to stock market people who are supposed to be so smart about investing and they don't get this major part of real estate. If you're going to buy real estate and pay off the debt, don't even have real estate. Don't even have it. Why do all that hassle, all that work when you can just put money in a long-term ETF and make 9%? Yeah, you'll end up with more money by having no debt, but it doesn't make any sense here. Go get the returns. And by the way, 75% loan, 25% down payment is a good down payment. And that's what's big and key for real estate. Now, let's say you screw up and instead of making 22%, you're able to make 15% a year. 15% a year for 30 years times that 100,000. $6.6 million. $6.6 million. Is that better than 1.3 million in the stock market? You tell me. That's the big key about real estate. Here's how you build amazing wealth in real estate. Let's say you only have $25,000 a year you save to invest in real estate, but you're able to make that 15%, which you can find out there if you're only finding one property a year. I want you to be picky as hell on every deal. So $25,000 a year for 30 years. That's doing one deal a year. You invest $25,000 of your money. And I'm going to do the math here. $10.9 million. Investing $25,000 a year times 30 years, $750,000. Let's look at it this way. What's that $25,000 a year in the stock market making 9%? 1.09 to the 30th minus 1 divided by 0.09 times 25, 3.4 million versus 3.4 million, investing $25,000 a year in the stock market. 3 times more money. That's the power of real estate. Now, real estate's a lot more work. When you buy an ETF, you just sit back, relax, and enjoy your flight. When you invest in real estate, you've got tenants, you've got maintenance issues, you got to lease it out, you got to deal with those things. But let me ask you a question. Is that worth $7 million more in retirement? Not only that, now you have income while you're retired. Then if you want all your properties paid off, you just click that cash flow every single day. How much cash flow are you generating from a $3.4 million brokerage account? Let's say you do a dividend yield of 3%, it's $100,000 a year. Yippee! What about your $10 million in properties, in wealth, and you're making let's say an 8% return, 800,000, 8 times more income per year. Which would you rather have? Is it worth it for you to do a little more work for 8 times more money? Now, the thing I love about real estate is every time I bought a piece of property, we put a lot of money into it. It's aggravating. And then we wake up 5 years later and we're like, oh my God, this property is worth so much more than what we paid for it. Because we put the money into it. We went and made the tenants better. We made the units better. It is such a great way to find a wealth. It's such a great way to build all of that. Now, how do you find them? I want you to be picky. You don't need to become worth $100 million. Be picky. Do one deal a year and make sure that deal is awesome for you. Be as picky as you can be. Don't go chase it. Second thing, don't hire a third-party manager. It's the best way to terrible results, lower rents, and higher expenses. I've had so many third-party managers in my career, and I've never, ever found a good one. It's a hard business to be in because most owners suck also. But the third-party managers have to deal with these owners. The goal will be manage it yourself. If you can do the work yourself, even better. So I cannot stress that enough. Do not hire a third-party manager. If you can't manage it yourself, don't do it. Now, you might sit there and say, well, Paul, I don't like management. I agree. I don't either. So maybe you find a partner. They put money in, you put money in, they're the manager, you find the deals. And you compensate each other that way. Now, you might also be thinking, Paul, 25 grand, that's a lot of money. Well, there's a thing called friends and family. And if you're a smart, competent person, and you can go to friends and family and say, guys, give me $5,000 each. I'm going to put this deal together. The first 10% is yours. After that, we're going to split it 50-50. That's a great way to build a portfolio. It's called syndication. Put people together, don't ask them for a lot, and just say, here's my process. Here's my plan. I love that method. It's a great way to get started in real estate. Maybe do one yourself and then show people, here's what I did. Do you want to invest with me on the next deal? Once you have a successful deal, it's easier to get money. Once people see you doing the work, it's easier to get money. Show your process. Show the before and after pictures when you renovated the property. I love it when I hear of handymen. I'm like, you should go buy real estate. They're like, really? I'm like, yes, because you can do all the work yourself. You're not going to pay some contractor some absurd amount of money to do it. Go out there and do it yourself. Raise those rents. Here's another key for real estate. You should want to have the highest rent on your street. Do that by making your properties immaculate, upgrading them, put in light fixtures and plumbing fixtures that will wow everyone. It's a low-cost change that'll make you stand out. Now, guys, financing. Financing is a tough cookie. You know why? Bankers are whores. Bankers are morons, and they're whores. Treat them as such. Go to every single one you can think of and see what their financing is going to be. They're all dumb. They're not going to understand your project. They're not going to understand anything about it. If you're a banker out there, I'm sorry. I don't mean this to offend you. I'm just telling you the way it is. I've literally never met a bank. You know why I've never met a banker who's good at real estate? Because if they were good, they wouldn't be a banker. I mean, literally, it's just a terrible thing out there. But that's why you have to sit there and play the game. Give your 25% down payment. have your good credit, but never go to just one bank. Because guess what? They'll tell you it's about relationship, but the second they don't like your deal, they're going to bail on you. They're never going to do a deal for you just because it's you. And anybody says otherwise, prove me wrong. I've only had one bank ever do a deal just to get my business. One bank ever. And he even said to me, he goes, he doubted me. I was like, I 100% doubted him. I 100% doubted the guy. And he came through. It was amazing. One bank ever in 20 years of doing business, I've talked to hundreds of banks. One bank ever said, I'm going to prove you wrong. No, a lot of banks said they're going to prove me wrong. One ever did. I was impressed. But you're probably not going to find that same situation. So go out there, talk to a credit union. Credit union's a great place because they actually do care about the community and they want to invest in the community. Go to your credit union, figure out what you can buy with them. Also, one other thing, tenants are kind of sometimes crappy people. Get a lot of insurance. Pay a few $100 extra for better insurance every year. I think it's well worth the investment. But guys, don't be scared by people saying, do you want to get called in the middle of the night? Guys, I've had real estate for 20 years. I've been called in the middle of the night one time. And guess what I did the very next month when her contract expired? You're out. Why? Because you called me on Christmas Eve at 2 o'clock in the morning saying your ceiling was falling in from water. And your own friend went over there and said, no, it was just a couple drops from the ceiling. It's like, you gone. So I have 700 units right now. This is back when I was very active with my management 15 years ago. One call in the middle of the night from a tenant, and they were out immediately because I was like, I'm not here to deal with that. So don't buy into the crap about, oh, tenants are going to keep you up. No, they won't. Especially, you know how they don't do it? Don't answer the call. There should only be emergency line for emergencies. And if they call an emergency line for no emergencies, guess what? You're gone. Don't deal with that crap. You have a life to live. Not everything's an emergency. Emergency means unlivable situation that happens suddenly. That to me is an emergency for a middle of the night call. If not, great. See you in the morning. So guys, real estate, again, I will say it till I'm blue in the face, is a great way to build wealth. But if you don't have the desire to be a hands-on owner, I don't think you should even do it. Be there, find a partner, find somebody who's going to fill in the role that you don't want to fill, that you can fill the role they don't want to fill. If you're able to do that, you can make a lot of money and it's worth millions and millions of dollars in retirement. Go do it now. Guys, thanks for watching this video. Only thing I need you to do, subscribe to the channel and watch this next video to learn more about real estate. Thank you very much for your time.